Lisa and I had been married for 7 years. We had a good life, at least I thought we did. But about 6 months ago, she started bringing up the idea of a threesome. At first, I thought she was joking. Then, she kept bringing it up, dropping hints whenever we watched movies, mentioning how fun and spontaneous it would be. I wasn't comfortable with it. I told her that I didn't feel like we needed to bring someone else into our marriage to keep things exciting. But she wouldn't let it go. She made it sound like it was just about spicing things up and exploring new experiences together. The more she pushed, the more I started wondering, was she already cheating? Was this her way of easing me into something she was already doing behind my back? Lisa's behavior started changing in ways I couldn't ignore. She began going out more, always with an excuse: work, drinks, girls' nights, networking events. She'd come home late, sometimes tipsy, brushing off my questions with vague answers. She also started being more protective of her phone, taking it with her even to the bathroom, putting it face down whenever she was near me, and suddenly setting a new passcode. One night, she came home at nearly 2 a.m., reeking of alcohol and perfume. She barely acknowledged me as she stumbled into bed. The next morning, I asked her about it. "Just lost track of time," she muttered, avoiding my gaze. That was when I decided to check our phone bill records. I wasn't the type to snoop, but something wasn't right. I opened our shared account and scrolled through the call logs. One number kept showing up, late at night, early in the morning, during her so-called girls' nights. My stomach twisted as I searched the number online. It belonged to someone named Ryan. I confronted Lisa about the number the next evening. She was on the couch, scrolling through her phone, acting like everything was normal. My heart pounded as I sat next to her, keeping my voice calm. "Hey, who's Ryan?" I asked casually. Lisa's fingers froze for a second before she put her phone down. "What?" She let out a short, nervous laugh. "Why are you asking?" I pulled out my own phone and showed her the call logs. "You've been talking to him a lot. Late at night. Early in the morning. Want to explain?" Her expression flickered between shock and irritation. "Oh my God, are you seriously checking my phone records now? That's insane. I just asked a simple question." She crossed her arms. "He's just a coworker. We've been working on a project together. Sometimes we talk outside of work. It's not a big deal." I studied her face, trying to decide if she was lying. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe she really was just working late. But the way she was acting, the defensiveness, the shiftiness, it didn't sit right with me. Over the next few weeks, things only got worse. Lisa continued pushing for a threesome, almost aggressively. If I ever hesitated or said no, she'd roll her eyes and accuse me of being boring. "It's just fun. Other couples do this all the time," she'd say. One night, she leaned over while we were in bed and whispered, "What if I picked the person? Would that make it easier for you?" Something in the way she said it sent a chill down my spine. Why was she so insistent? It felt less like she wanted a new experience with me and more like she was trying to justify something. Then I started noticing other changes. She became more distant, more impatient with me. If I tried to be affectionate, she would pull away. When we did sleep together, it felt different, like she was just going through the motions. I decided to test her. One evening, while we were having dinner, I casually mentioned, "You know what? Maybe I would be open to a threesome." Lisa's face lit up so fast it almost made me sick. "Really?" she asked, practically bouncing in her seat. "But I want to be the one who picks the person," I added, watching her reaction carefully. Her expression changed in an instant. She hesitated, forcing a laugh. "Well, shouldn't we both have a say? I thought you just wanted to spice things up. Why does it matter who it is?" She fumbled for words, and in that moment I knew. She already had someone in mind. That's when I decided to set a trap. That weekend, I told Lisa I had a last-minute work trip and wouldn't be home for 2 nights. I packed a small bag, kissed her on the cheek, and left like everything was normal. In reality, I checked into a cheap motel just 10 minutes away and waited. I had set up a small hidden camera in our bedroom earlier that day. Nothing fancy, just an old phone with a recording app running, placed in a spot where she'd never notice. If I was wrong, I'd delete the footage and move on. But if I was right? Around 9 p.m., I checked the camera feed from my laptop. At first, nothing. Lisa was just scrolling through her phone in bed. But then, at exactly 9:45 p.m., she got a text. She grinned, typed something back, and jumped out of bed. Minutes later, she was doing her hair, putting on makeup, and changing into lingerie, the kind she hadn't worn for me in months. My stomach twisted. I clenched my fists, trying to keep myself calm. At 10:30 p.m., the front door opened, and in walked Ryan. He barely had time to say anything before Lisa threw her arms around his neck and kissed him like she had been starving for him. They laughed, whispered, and within minutes, they were in our bed. I watched it all unfold, feeling my whole body go numb. It was one thing to suspect someone was cheating, it was another thing to have cold, undeniable proof. The way she touched him, the way she looked at him with pure desire, it was the final nail in the coffin. I could have stormed in right then, but I wanted her to really feel the weight of her betrayal. So I waited until the next morning. At 7 a.m., I pulled into the driveway and walked straight into the house. Lisa was still asleep in bed. Our bed, wrapped up in the sheets that still smelled like him. Ryan was nowhere to be seen. She must have heard the door because she stirred, stretching lazily before opening her eyes. When she saw me standing in the doorway, her face went white. "Good morning," I said, my voice calm.
Too calm.
Lisa sat up quickly, pulling the blanket around herself. You're home early?" "Yeah," I said, stepping inside. "So, how was your night?" Her eyes darted around as she tried to think of an excuse. But before she could speak, I held up my phone and hit play. The recording of her and Ryan filled the room, her moans, her laughter, the sound of betrayal playing back in perfect clarity. Lisa's jaw dropped. It's not what it looks like," she gasped, scrambling out of bed. I laughed, shaking my head. "Oh, Lisa, it's exactly what it looks like." Lisa's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. She had no excuse, no lie clever enough to wiggle out of this. The color drained from her face as the sound of her own betrayal echoed through the room. I can explain," she stammered, clutching the blanket around her as if it could protect her from the truth. I tilted my head, pretending to think. "Oh, please do. I'd love to hear how having sex with Ryan in our bed was just a misunderstanding." She took a step toward me, her hands trembling. "It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. You've been so distant lately, and I felt like I needed something to—" I cut her off with a sharp laugh. "Oh, that's rich. You've been pushing for a threesome for months, and now I finally know why. You wanted him all along. You just wanted to justify it." Her lips trembled. "No, that's not true. Then why did you freak out when I said I wanted to pick the person?" I shot back. "Because it was never about us, was it? It was about you getting permission to screw him." Tears welled up in her eyes, but I wasn't falling for it. Not after everything. "You don't understand," she pleaded. "I love you. It was just a mistake. A stupid, meaningless mistake." I shook my head, pure disgust rolling through me. "You don't accidentally cheat, Lisa. You planned this. You snuck around, lied to my face, and you defiled our bed like I wouldn't find out." I turned and walked toward the dresser, pulling open the top drawer where she kept all her sentimental keepsakes, our wedding album, anniversary cards, love letters. "Stop," she cried as I grabbed the album and tossed it onto the floor. "Please don't do this." I crouched down and picked up our wedding photo, the one where she had looked me in the eyes and promised forever. With a slow, deliberate motion, I ripped it in half. Lisa let out a strangled sob. "We can fix this," she begged. "We can go to therapy, work through this." I let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, we're fixing this." I pulled a manila envelope from my jacket pocket and threw it onto the bed. She looked down, her brows furrowing as she reached for it. When she opened it and saw the divorce papers inside, her entire body went rigid. "Dubbage what?" she whispered. "You want to sleep with other people?
Fine.
Now you can do it without a husband." I grabbed my bag and walked toward the door. She stumbled after me, her voice breaking.
Wait.
Please don't do this. I made a mistake, but I love you. I turned back one last time, meeting her desperate, teary eyes with nothing but cold indifference.
No, Lisa.
You love the comfort I gave you. You love the stability. But you sure as hell didn't love me enough to stay faithful. With that, I walked out the door and into my new life, one where I didn't have to wonder if the woman sleeping beside me was secretly betraying me. And damn, it felt good to be free.